there, I'm Nicole, and this is the YouTube channel Professor Purl, named because I'm a math education professor, and it's a YouTube channel primarily about knitting, and today I'm going to show you everything I've knit in 2022. Last year, from December 2021 to January 2022, on YouTube I was seeing lots of videos where people talked about the things they made, and I really wanted to make a video like that, except I didn't know what I made that year. I didn't keep track of it on Ravelry. I was inconsistent about posting on Instagram, which I'm profpurl on Instagram. If you want to go follow me there, I now am consistent about posting my projects. And so sort of my loose goal in 2022 was to make sure I track what I knit, which I kind of did. Inconsistently still, but better than I was. So I now know mostly what I knit in 2022, and now I can make one of these videos. I'm so excited to share. I'm going to go by categories and then try to go chronologically, but since I didn't take good notes, I don't exactly remember what I finished when. So I'm going to start with garments. I've made 8 sweaters, I think. Let me count. Yes, I've made 8 sweaters. So I will try to go through this somewhat in order. We'll see. So the first sweater that I made, finished in 2022, was a love note sweater. And if you're thinking that this sweater does not look like a love note, that's because I substituted the lace. So the Love Note sweater by Tin Can Knits has a very iconic lace pattern, and I've knit several of those sweaters, some with lace, some without lace. I think I've knit 3 lace versions. And so I wanted to kind of spice it up, and so I replaced the lace with this. Now the sweater is looking a little wrinkly, and that's because I've hardly worn it, and it was in the bottom of my little chest where I keep my sweaters. It's a very lightweight yarn. The sweater is made out of Rowan yarn, though I don't remember the type. I will link my Ravelry page below, and I have all the yarn details there if you're interested. It's a very lightweight sweater, so I will try this on for you. All right, here is my modified Love Note sweater that I've hardly worn. I think there's some things about it that prevent me from wearing it. One is the color. I do think I look good in this kind of light blue color, but it isn't something I really gravitate towards. Looking at myself in the camera here, I feel like this is a good color on me. I wouldn't style it with this t-shirt, but yeah, I think the other thing is I was kind of not really using the pattern, and though I know that I should size down on the ribbing for the look I like, I didn't. And so it turned out really kind of flary here. You can see how it kind of flares. And I don't particularly like that, so I think that's another reason why I don't wear it that often. And so that could easily be fixed if I just tore it out and redid the ribbing. And I think that's one of the reasons. It's a very lightweight sweater. So I think it would be nice over a dress or something for work. I don't gravitate towards it. I just don't. But it was my first finished object of 2022. The next sweater that I knit was my very first test knit sweater. So 2022, I got into test knitting sweaters, and I test knit quite a few sweaters, and it was just a joy. So this is my very first sweater that I test knit, and it is the Soufflé by Penrose Knits. And I did it out of Murray Wool and Goods. Murray and Company, Murray Wool Goods and Company. Their mohair in a colorway that was called Wine Country, which I loved because I live in wine country in Oregon, and I purchased the yarn from Naughty Lamb, which is in Forest Grove, Oregon. And I don't know, I just really loved knitting this. You hold the mohair double in this body. There's a folded hem. Here it's single. There's a little I-cord detail. Let me show the little button here. It's a very sweet sweater, and I felt so special that I got to test knit it, and it's so gorgeous. And I just really, this sweater was so beautiful, and it just, the test knitting community, that really just drew me into the test knitting sweater craving. Like, I just love it. So let me try this on for you. I'm not wearing an undergarment for this right now, just to kind of show it off. And I know that some of the soufflés, if you go on Instagram, some of them turned out quite sheer, and mine did not, as you can see. I just think it's the nature of the mohair I used. It was very fluffy, and yeah, I just love this. I've actually never styled it with these jeans before, but I think I would. I really, really love this sweater. And I would love to knit another one, another short sleeve one. I'd like to knit like a long sleeve version with like kind of balloon sleeves, or just another one. I just really think it's one of these sweaters that looks so good with jeans, but I can also wear dress pants for teaching. As I've mentioned, I'm a professor. So it's just very flexible for being out and about, but also for my professional life. So huge fan of this. I love mohair. I don't find mohair itchy. It doesn't make me overly warm. So yeah, I have some mohair in my stash that I have maybe some other plans for, but I would totally knit another one of these. And you can see that I really love the ruffle and the soufflé, because you'll see of my 8 garments, many of them were soufflés, versions of soufflés. All right, here's another sweater that I test knit. This is the Trelawny by Tamy Gore. I knit this out of singles. It's fingering. And so that singles are like, they don't have a ply to it, but it creates such a beautiful drape. This color, I don't remember the name of it, but it's on my Ravelry, but it was from Life in the Long Grass. And this pale pink was Suburban Stitcher, and I do remember that this single had a very high silk content, which made the color work kind of challenging. So yeah, this was a test knit, and I finished it on time, speedy, just because I was really excited for the product. And it was short sleeve too, so that made test knitting it quite easy. But I love short sleeve sweaters. I know for everybody's climate that doesn't work well, but I live in the Pacific Northwest, and that works really well for where I live. I can wear short sleeve sweaters year round. I can wear them in the summer, I can wear them in the fall and in the winter. I mean, today let's see here. Yeah, it's a high of 61 degrees Fahrenheit today. That is a little bit warmer than it usually is, but I can in the winter wear this with a long sleeve shirt underneath it. I can put a cardigan over it. It looks good again with my professor life. I can wear this with this skirt and it looks super cute, or it looks really good with these jeans too. So I just really love this. I think that this color, I think I look good in this color. I also love pink. So yeah, I really like this. This color work was a little challenging for me because it had long repeats. So you can see how like this is symmetric and then there's this. So this is like a repeat, I think. And so I don't remember, maybe it was like a 48 stitch repeat. And all the prior color work I've done has been like 8, 12 stitch kind of repeats. And so that's very readily memorizable. And so this actually had to like look at the chart. So I think that slowed me down a little bit, but I'm so glad that I did it. Trying to think what else. One thing that's really fun about Tamy Gore's designs is that she has used a variety of needle sizes. think I used 3 different needle sizes for the ribbing, the short rows, and up to the color work down to the body. And a lot of times, like, not including the color work, because I'm trying to say like the ribbing and the body and the color work, like the body and the color work were one needle size and the ribbing was another, and then there was like an in-between size for like the short row shaping. And other sweaters I've knit, there's really only been 2 needle sizes, which is like the ribbing and the body. And so that was kind of a fun technique to try. And I feel like Tamy Gore's designs are all really classic, like things that you will wear for many, many years. So that was really fun. And I've since test knit another sweater for her, though it won't make an appearance in this video because it's still not done. Okay, so yeah, this is a winner. And I mean, I don't know, I haven't kept any data on like how much I've worn each sweater, but I would have to guess that this may be my most worn sweater of the year. I wore this so much. I finished it in the spring, so I was wearing this in the spring, through the summer, through the fall, winter. This is something the color, the design, the fit, I have 0 complaints about this sweater. All right, so here's another test knit sweater. This is the Chunky Soufflé by Laura of Penrose Knits. So this is the second soufflé sweater that I knit. And I knit this out of Wonder Fluff from Knit Picks, and I knit it with Wonder Fluff held double to get gauge. I forget the yarn that she designed it in, but it was a yarn, I don't know, that I've never worked with it before. It wasn't at my yarn stores here in the US. I could have ordered it online, but I just wanted to use something from Knit Picks. Plus, I think this color is called like Cosmopolitan Pink or something. I love pink. So yeah, I think I wanted a pink one. It's probably it. I don't really remember, but look at these sleeves. It's so cute. The construction of this is different from the other soufflé, though it has this nod of the soufflé here, like with the ruffle. What I mean by the construction is different is like with the mohair version, it has a keyhole back. This does not. It was mohair held single. This is not mohair held single here. It has this really, I just love a folded over collar. I don't have any sort of like sensory neck problems, so like a folded over collar I just love. It's long sleeved with these really cute balloon sleeves. I just love this, and I knew I wanted this, and I think I tested this in the spring, though the sweater came out in the fall, and I wore this a ton in the spring. I was so excited about finishing it, and the spring is kind of interesting here in the Pacific Northwest, where it can be really warm or it can be really cool. And so I remember, though it was spring, nearly summer, I was actually getting a lot of wear out of this with like skirts and things over the top. But strangely, I have not worn this once this winter, and like I'm like kind of regretting it right now. Well, it's still winter, so I still got time. Again, I think it looks really cute with these jeans, and I've worn it with skirts. I think it was at the bottom of I have a little chest of sweaters here, and it was at the bottom. So I just think I kind of forgot about it because it's awesome and I love the way it fits. But yeah, I really haven't worn it that much. Regretfully. So cute though. Okay, so I then knit another soufflé, and it was another test knit for Laura of Penrose Knits, and that is the Petite soufflé. Now this one is, you know, similar to this, I think, on the way it looks, but it does have a little bit of a nod to the original soufflé in that there is this I-cord border and a keyhole back. I knit this out of Superwash DK. So a funny story about this is that Matilda, I asked her if she wanted a matching one like this, because I was thinking, how cute would this be to have a pink and a pink? Knit Picks, I could order DK yarn, though this is a different weight than this. Like I could get a similar colorway from Knit Picks. But Matilda, she was 4 at the time, she's now 5, but my preschooler, she was like, Well, I want a purple sparkle one. So I went on the hunt for purple sparkle yarn. Maybe this doesn't look sparkly in the camera, but it is very sparkly in person. And I found yarn through Frankie Gray Fibers, whose yarn is dyed by Jody, who's one half of the Grocery Girls. And she had other purple sparkle yarn, but I put up the website and had Matilda pick, and this is what she picked. The colorway is called Sweet Pea. And like, you know, ordering from Canada, etc. I think it took almost 2 weeks for me to get the yarn. So I was kind of on a time crunch to knit this sweater with it being a test knit, but I was able to do it. Plus Laura's super kind about deadlines if you need a little bit. And so I didn't need it though. And it was a pleasure. And so I tested this over the summer, and Matilda and Kyle was out of town for a work trip. So Matilda and I went to the beach, and right as we were getting ready to leave, I was like, oh, I should take some finished object photos of this sweater. And so with her beach hair and like not really planning it, I just popped this over like her little shorts and swimsuit. And to this day, and maybe for my lifetime, it will remain one of the best finished object photos I've ever taken. Like, I don't consider myself like a photographer or like though I have a YouTube channel, I don't find myself to be particularly good at like taking photos or videos. So like how amazing her photos turned out, like, was kind of shocking to me. Anyway, I'm so proud of that photo. Hopefully I'll pop it in here. And that's this. And so like my dreams of us having matching sweaters have still not happened, though this is probably the closest because we both have soufflés. And like if we ever stood next to each other in a photo, we would match, kind of. Well, it doesn't go in order, but while I'm talking about soufflés, I'll show you my 4th soufflé. So I knit the original soufflé, the chunky soufflé, the petite soufflé. And so then in the, I think it was summer, early fall, late summer, I had a more soufflé please knit along on the channel as an excuse to knit another soufflé, the summer soufflé. The thing with the summer soufflé is you could probably knit it in any DK yarn, so that's not a summery sweater, though I did do it in a summer yarn. And I did it in this navy color. And I'm actually so proud of myself about this because this is yarn that I had in my stash for a long time. Years. Like the kind of stash where you're like, should I donate this to somebody? Because I'm probably never going to knit with it. It was Queensland United, a cotton merino blend. And I just kind of got it because I had been buying so much yarn. Like I bought new yarn for the soufflé, I bought new yarn for this, I bought new yarn for Matilda's, and I have such a nice stash of yarn that I wanted to, for the summer soufflé, like push myself to pick something from my stash. And I only had a couple of options, one of which was this merino cotton blend. And I put this color up with my other option on Instagram for a vote. And people picked this. And I think if people hadn't picked this, I wouldn't have knit with it because I'm usually scared of plant-based yarns, like hurting my hands. And this did not hurt my hands. So yeah, I forget the exact balance. It was 55% lamb's wool, maybe 45% cotton, or vice versa. Anyway, the details would be on Ravelry. I'll try this on. I just am surprised at how much I love it, given how long the yarn stood in my stash, because I wore this so much. And even though it's not like, you know, cotton merino, like cotton lamb's wool, like it is soft, but it's not like the way mohair or this kind of yarn is like soft to me. It's soft in a different way, but I loved it. I loved it so much. Okay. Summer soufflé, and this for work, I wore this a ton to work. It's a super classy look. I feel like, imagine this with a skirt or dress pants. And then it breathes so well. Sometimes you get super hot when you're teaching. and you're like running around your students at groups, you know, talking. The start of the school year here in the Pacific Northwest was a very warm, like 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And this was just such a breathable garment. It made me wish I had more kind of cotton merino blends in my wardrobe. And so I would love to include more of these in my wardrobe. So this was, of the soufflés I've shown, this is my 4th soufflé. This one was not a test knit. I did not apply to this test knit because I was test knitting the Petite soufflé at the same time, and I just didn't think I could handle both at the same time. I don't think they exactly overlapped, but there was a slight overlap. And yeah, so it was really refreshing to like knit this at my own schedule and not a test knitting schedule. But now I've knit every single soufflé design that I feel like if there's any more on the horizon, I must apply to test knit, and I must, or if I don't test knit them, I just need to knit them because like I'm committed at this point. I've knit 4 soufflés. I must knit all the soufflés. Anyway, I just love this so much. I would totally knit another garment out of this kind of yarn, this Queensland United merino cotton. I'm in love with it. I would knit another one of these. I think this is a great color on me. I think it looks so good. I would knit another summer soufflé. I actually think this sweater here that I'm wearing, more so than the other soufflé designs, I think would be a terrific first sweater. If there's any people out there watching this YouTube channel who haven't knit a sweater yet, this might be it. Because, get this, it's a very, like, I don't want to say basic, but like very straightforward top-down design with a little something extra, this little ruffle. So, and really this is something that a beginner garment knitter could do, the ruffle. And so you'd knit this like classic look with a little something extra. Like I really do believe that this would be a good first sweater. I think you could knit the other sweaters certainly for a first sweater, but they would have like some extra challenges, like an I-cord neckline, like beautiful, gorgeous, but it is like a little bit extra challenge, I feel like. So anyway, I think it looks so good on me too. Like it fits, it's like the perfect shape. I think I knit this with, I think I knit this with more ease than the pattern recommended, but I actually don't know if that's true now or not. I don't know, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I did knit other sweaters that were not souffle sweaters. And I have a couple more sweaters to show you. So my last 2 sweaters I'm going to show you were like what I consider my long-term projects, like things that took me a long time to knit, but like were worth the wait. Let me know if you have any like knits like that like took you forever. It almost seemed like you had lost interest or something because it took you that long, but like you wouldn't change it. That's these 2 that I will show you. Okay. The first is my Radvent sweater. So in 2021, I had got a Stress Knits Advent for Christmas, so December 2021, and I knit the Radvent cardigan, and it's by Ambah O'Brien. It's an oversized fingering weight sweater cardigan, and it took me a long time. Like if you are a longtime viewer of this channel, you were potentially sick of seeing this sweater. You might even be so sick of seeing it now because of how long it took me to go. But I'm just so proud of myself. And it's one of these garments that's like eclectic and funky, and like it like looks handmade in like the best possible way to me. Like the Stress Knits Advent is very cohesive, yet there's some interesting things going on with it. And I love like this whole like t-shirt and jeans. I love t-shirts and jeans. And so I just love wearing a t-shirt and then having this cardigan to pop over a t-shirt. It's just like totally my style. it's just, it's so great. Now, I started knitting this with Maddie and Kristen from the We Share Needles podcast. And as part of Advent, they cruised through it, like, and I did not. And, you know, it's like, it's totally okay. And not that I'm blaming it on the twisted rib. Like, obviously, I'm just a slower knitter, and it was just a slower process for me. But the twisted rib took some time. Like, this took a lot of time. It doesn't look like it would take a lot of time, twisted rib, but like, it did. But like, for me, I love the look of twisted rib, and I know not everybody does, but I like love the look of twisted rib. So this was like totally worth it for me. I just, if you have a cohesive Advent, I just could not recommend this sweater enough. It's just so fun. Even if you don't have a cohesive Advent, like, it can be really fun. It could be like super funky. The pattern is also written to hold mohair through. So if I knit this again, I think I would really like to do the version where I hold mohair for two reasons. One is I think it would make the sweater a little bit thicker, right? The fabric would be different, like just fingering as opposed to fingering held with mohair. And I love holding some mohair, some fuzz with my fingering. So I think I would love to do that. Also, I love like this funky eclectic look. Like, I love that. But I do think that holding like a single strand of mohair could like help blend this and make it a little bit more cohesive. Like, imagine with this particular palette, imagine a piece of gray mohair through it. It could be like so cool. So I still have not added buttons to it, and I have like really cool buttons to go with this. And so I need to add some buttons to it. That is on the to-do list. But I love the look of it open like this. And so my motivation to sew buttons has been pretty low. Anyway, I just love this. It's like, I love it so much. Okay. I may say that about every hand knit sweater I make. Maybe not. There's a couple in there that I haven't. Well, just one that I'm a little regretful about, I guess, which is this one. I just didn't love the yarn that much. Sorry, Rowan. I don't even remember the name of it. I don't know. I didn't love the yarn color that much, I guess. It, you know, it does look good. I don't know. All right. So for the last sweater that took a long time, which again, if you watch this channel, you probably know, which is the Lennox pullover. And this sweater was also a test knit, and it was for Anna from the Bluebird box. The sweater was knit inside out. So this is the inside out part. I'll show you. This is like the wrong side is the right side. So like when I was knitting, you'd see this kind of like bubble stitch. That's what I was knitting. And then you turn it inside out. Technically, the sweater is totally reversible. It also has this folded over a collar, which is squishy and great. And these sleeves are like straight. This texture. There was a whole ordeal where I made a mistake, not the pattern's fault, just the knitter's fault. And the mistake added time to my already slow knitting. Like, this texture took me a long time. The other testers just really flew by, like flew through it, and some of them knit more than one. And for some reason, this texture just really slowed me down. But it is my first all over texture sweater. And I said that the Tamy Gore was the most worn sweater, but I actually don't think that's true. I actually think it's, this might be my most worn sweater of all my knits this year. I wear it at least once a week. I know what it looks like with these jeans because I've worn it with these jeans and all the jeans I have in my wardrobe. Like, I've worn it with dress pants. It's, again, one of those sweaters that I can wear, like, kind of dress down for casual things, but can also dress up for work, which is always a great thing. Let me try this one on for you. It's so cute. It's like oversized, but not too oversized. Anna, in my mind, is like just a very brilliant designer and how she does things, and is very conscious about fit. And so, like, when you knit something for her, you know that she's put a lot of thought in how it's going to fit. So that's why when I made my mistake, I was so nervous because I wanted it to fit me as well as hers fits hers. So my shape here is a little different from hers because of mistakes I made, but it doesn't matter. It turned out so good. You can see this is just like a good color on me. It's a good, it's oversized, but like not too oversized. It's also for where I live when I'm looking for a warm sweater. It's like kind of the perfect weight. This was knit out of sport weight yarn. This particular yarn was hand dyed by my friend Kelly, who owns the yarn store Le Mouton Rouge Knittery. I don't remember the name of her like yarn labels. Maybe it's like Red Sheep or something like this. And it's really blown out in this light because it is a very bright sweater. It's like looking very fluorescent yellow in this light. And it is, but it's more like a pastel fluorescent yellow. Anyway, this is so good. And though it took me like, I knit this like probably my entire summer. Maybe that's not true. I started knitting it maybe in June. I knit this months. This took me months, and I knit it right up into the deadline of the test knit. And I was the only one that did that in terms of testers. So, but after I finished this, I was like, I need to take a break from test knitting sweaters because that's a lot of sweaters I test knit. Let me see. There's this one, my Tamy Gore one, and then 3 for Laura. So I test knit 5 sweaters. Yeah, I test knit 5 sweaters this year, and it was my first time ever test knitting sweaters. And so I think that's pretty impressive. And so when I finished this kind of like all over texture one, I was like, for the rest of the year, the rest of 2022, I'm not going to test knit any sweaters. And I have not applied for any test knits yet. Maybe I'll do that in 2023. We'll see. I would love to test knit another sweater, but I also just want to kind of go with the flow and not make knitting stressful. So yeah, so that's my 8 sweaters I knit this year, and I cast on a bunch too that I didn't finish. But these are the 8 that I finished. I'm going to show you my pile of sweaters I knit this year. I am so proud of this. Sweater knitting is my happy place. Like making my own. I don't know if I could ever buy a sweater ever again at a store. Sweater knitting is my happy place. All right, so that's the sweaters. So now I'm going to switch to talking about socks. Let's see here. I knit 6 pairs of socks, I think. Okay. So the first pair of socks I knit were just a vanilla sock. So from 2021, I purchased my very first self-striping Advent yarn. So this is from the Wool Baron. And so basically for every day in December, there's a stripe, I think is how it worked. Or there's 25 stripes to Christmas. I think it depends on if you count these red stripes or not. And it did not come with a mini, but I had some minis in my stash that I just used. And I don't remember who they're by. They maybe were Leading Men Fiber Arts, perhaps. And I did a cut and heel because I didn't want to break up the stripes, or an afterthought heel, if you will. And I wear these a ton, and so there is some fading here. Like the stripes were more vibrant before I washed them over and over. So I wear these a lot. Okay, the next pair of socks I knit were to date in 2022 my favorite colorway by Savvy Skeins. It was called Surfer Girl, and those socks are very well worn and are in the laundry, so I don't have them here to show you. They're dirty wearing them, but I'll insert a picture. It was just a vanilla sock with a heel flap and gusset, which is like my favorite way to knit socks, which is cuff down, heel flap and gusset. I say it's my favorite, but I think like Afterthought heels might be like, I might like them just as much. Both an Afterthought heel and a heel flap and gusset, both those fit my feet really well. And I like them both like probably the same. Okay, so the third pair of socks I knit were, these look really kind of sad right now because they're just so well worn. I'll hold them back so they don't look as worn. So this is Zebra Yarns, and I think this is my second pair of shorties. I don't knit shorty socks a lot, and so I knit these. I knit quite a large or tall cuff, maybe 20 rows of twisted ribbing. And I wanted to do something that wasn't vanilla, so I did this feather and fan thing down the center. I didn't have a pattern. It's just a feather and fan kind of insert on the top. If you like feather and fans on socks, there's quite a bit of sock patterns out there that have a feather and fan detail that you can find, or you could just search feather and fan stitch and add it on the top of your sock. And I think this is my first time knitting with Zebra Yarns, and I've since knit with Zebra Yarns, so I don't have any more finished objects to show. But my personal opinion about Anna's base from Zebra Yarns is it is the best sock base. It's very sturdy. Like obviously it's superwash yarn, so it's soft. But when I compare it to like other yarns, like these are like almost like, they're very soft, the wool bearing, but like almost like, I don't want to say too soft. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about if you're a sock knitter. There's like sock yarn where you're like, that's too soft. Like that's gonna get fuzzy and wear out like quickly. Whereas like, I don't know, hers just feels like sturdy. Anyway, I just, 10 out of 10. Really like her base for socks. And yeah, so I knit these shorties, and I have like another half of a skein of this that I would love to do again in another pair of shorties. And yeah, so I wear these a ton. Kyle, my husband, does all the laundry in our house, and he machine washes my socks. And we have a drying rack. I was just looking at it. It's like behind this camera, and I think a lot of times we dry the socks, but I do know that these have been through the dryer. And so when you do that, when you choose to wash and dry your socks, like the yarn, like they wear and they fade, but that's not the fault of the yarn. That's because you're drying them in the dryer and not letting them air dry. So anyway, those are basically my 3 fingering pairs. And then I did 3 DK weight socks. And the first pair of DK socks I made were actually like my very first design. So 2022 was kind of like a big year for me because I like test knit sweaters for the first time, which was like really cool. And like, I'm just so excited about it. And then the other part of 2022 that was like really special for me was designing my first sock pattern. And I just felt like so supported by the knitting community. So thank you so much if you purchased that pattern. And I had so many people test knit this too. I think it was quite a large group of testers, like, I don't know, maybe at least 15. I don't want to give an exact amount, but, and the reason is there's 3 different sizes for this sock, but also you'll see these are really fuzzy looking, and that's because I knit these out of fingering and mohair together. So half of my testers did fingering and mohair, but fingering and mohair together, like that makes a DK weight yarn. So then the other half of my testers did DK. And you can't tell in the camera, but the yarn base I used was Fiber Company, and it is Forbidden Fiber Company, perhaps. And it's sparkle. Yeah, and so, but you can't really tell that in the in the camera. Okay, so these are details. They are cuffed down, heel flap and gusset. And this cool texture, look at that. It looks so sophisticated to me, but guess what? Easy, easy 2-row repeat. So that's super fun. These are called the Celeana socks. And I got that name because I love reading this book series, The Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. And in the first book, Celeana, she loves to read too. And so I just was imagining her, especially with this being like sparkle and mohair, kind of curled up with a book with her cozy socks on. I love these socks. I actually need to knit more of these. Like, I love the pattern on it. And I'd love to knit another pair with fingering and mohair. I would also love to knit just a DK pair. So I would personally, for myself, would like to knit more Celeana socks, though this is the only pair I have. So then, I don't know what was happening in my life, but basically, like, I know I was test knitting, I don't remember what, and I had like all this stockinette going on, and so I was like craving something different. So I was craving like cables. I also really prefer I got mohair in my eye. I really prefer 9-inch circs. So that's how these were knit. But because of like all the circular knitting and stockinette I had going on, I was like craving something different. And so I knit these on magic loop, these socks. And I actually knit another pair of these. These are my second design, which is Read More socks, because it says Read More on the bottom of the socks. See, it says read and then more, so read more. And you have your feet up. So I had this skein of DK yarn from Ex Libris Fibers that I purchased at the Rose City Yarn Crawl in a colorway called Foxing, which is a nod to kind of the old pages in a book. And so I just immediately with that cream thought of cables, and so I knit those, duplicate stitched Read More on the bottom with like scrap yarn. I gifted those socks to my mom. But oh my gosh, the mohair in my eyes. So basically, I hardly knit toe-up socks. I hardly knit on magic loop. So like all the things I hardly did, I did. And I ended up writing it up as a pattern. Over the summer, I met Kimber from Kimber's Cozy Creation when I was vacationing in Wisconsin, and she offered to provide yarn support for the design. And so she and I were like sending mood boards back and forth to each other and chatting, and that's sort of the like impetus for this colorway. And I just really think it's a modern take on cables. Like I feel like cream you expect with cables. It's kind of fun aqua color you don't necessarily expect. She actually has these sock kits up on her website now if you are interested in checking that out. If you purchase the this just came out January 1st, the sock pattern. And so if you purchase the Read More sock pattern, there is a discount code for the Read More sock set from Kimber's if you want this exact situation. So yeah, there's this cable pattern, and it's a 4-row cable pattern, and I found it very like rhythmic, and I think you could easily memorize it. And it has cut-in heels, so you don't have to stop. It's nice, you just go. I would suggest duplicate stitching Read More before you get too far along. It's easier to duplicate stitch the shorter your sock is. But anyway, so my mom got the cream pair for Christmas, and I kept this pair for myself. And yeah, since I've knit 2 pairs of these, I am more ready to knit a Celeana sock than I am to knit a 3rd pair of these, though I do think I would knit a 3rd pair of these. In the pattern, if you're not feeling the cables, some of the testers tested a just ribbed version where instead of the cables, there's like ribbing, because maybe you just want the charts for Read More at the bottom of your foot and you don't want to do cables. And so there is an option for that as well. So yeah, 2022 is a big deal for me because I have 2 sock designs. Though this came out January 1st of 2023, I'm still counting it as a 2022 finished object design because like all the work for it happened in 2022. So I have 2 sock designs. I'm so proud of that. Prior to 2022, I was just primarily knitting sweaters and occasionally like some socks. And so I've been a lifetime knitter. So like I have knit hats. And so one of my like kind of unspoken 2022 goals was I was just like hoping to like add some more accessories into my life, because I just am so into sweater knitting. I was like, I would like to knit some accessories. So at the start of the year, I had a knit along on the channel called Books and Berets, and I knit 4 berets as part of that. And I would say fell in love with berets in 2022. And 2 of the 4 berets I knit, I can't show you because they were gifts, but I knit Maddie from the We Share Needles. I knit her a beret, a blue beret. The blue reminded me of her, and I felt like it needed to be a beret for Maddie. Then the other beret I knit for Shelby from Shelby in the Bookstore, because she was like hosting a book club for the Books and Beret make along, and I wanted to make her a beret. And so for both Shelby and Maddie, I knit them the Best Beret by James and Watts, and it's such a good beret pattern, and it comes in various sizes. And so Shelby, I do know, wears her beret a ton because I watch her YouTube channel, and I'll see her wearing it in a vlog or on her channel, and I just am filled with joy because it's like I can tell that she wears it a lot, and it fills my heart with joy. And I'm not much of a gift knitter. As you can see, I've knit Matilda a sweater, my mom a pair of socks, and just these 2 berets. So I'm really not much of a gift knitter, and so that's it. I just knit those 4 things for a gift this year. Okay, now for the berets that I knit myself. I knit myself 2 berets, and they are the Jacqueline beret from Clinton Hill Cashmere. And so it's a kit where you can purchase the Jacqueline beret kit on the website, and like it comes with a ball of yarn and the pattern. I had the privilege of interviewing Rebecca from Clinton Hill Cashmere. That video is on this channel, and the beret is named after her grandmother, and it's a very inspiring story. And so good chance maybe check out that video where I interviewed her. So it was so special to knit that beret that I wanted to do it more than once. And so the first beret that I made was actually a gift from Rebecca. She had donated the kit to me, and she had donated one to viewers on the podcast. And so I knit it in a classic color, black, because, I mean, if you're going to be knitting out of cashmere, you want to wear it forever. And I think I look really nice in a beret. I think that's the other thing I discovered. And now I just really like them. And I actually like putting this on. I'm like remembering what it was like to knit out of the cashmere. And I'm actually like wishing like that I had another kit to make another beret. I would totally knit another one of these. It was so good. Okay, so I knit this black one. And after I knit the black one, I was just like, I would say like very into the cashmere. It's expensive. That is why a beret is a good choice for me, because it's just one ball of yarn. So I knit this yellow one. Look how cute. How cute. So I decided, since I did a classic one, I'd do more of a funky one. And so I did this bright yellow color. Yeah, so how do I style berets? Okay, I will show you. I would say I wear my berets in like 2 ways. One way is just over the ears, covering the ears, like classic back. Like, so if I'm like on the beach walking, like on a beach walk, this is how I'm wearing it. If I'm walking around town to a coffee shop or something, like the goal is to keep my head warm. I literally just pull it over like this, and that's how I walk around. If my goal is like to kind of keep my head warm, but also just to kind of like wear it as an accessory, like I put it more like off to the side where one ear is covered and one ear is out. And this is my personal favorite look. I just really like wearing it to the side like this. And I And it does keep my head warm because cashmere is very warm. Like it is actually like sometimes too warm, which that leads me to some of my other things. But like, yeah, this is actually like wildly warm. And I live in the Pacific Northwest, which has a very moderate climate. So berets are great, especially for 1 year out kind of look. But sometimes cashmere was too warm. So after I made these berets for myself, I was like, gosh, this is great. I love these. I'd like some more hat accessories. I have lots of hats that I've knit for myself, but I hadn't knit like a fresh new hat in a while. So I like wanted to jump on the Musselburgh train. Like everybody has knit these hats, and rightfully so. Like how cute is this? Okay, so this Musselburgh is knit out of Arkansas Yarn Company. Their Sock Society, I think the April box color. This is my very first yarn subscription I've ever had, the Sock Society, and this was my very first like box I got. And when I opened up the color, it's just like mint with like speckles, and I love speckles. And the colorway was called Puddle Jumper, which Matilda, who's my daughter, she loves jumping in puddles. And I just felt very like, I don't know, nostalgic towards it. I guess sentimental towards it. And yeah, so I just like had to knit this. The cool thing about the Musselburgh is you can wear it like folded over like I did. Or you can wear it like this, like slouchy. I can say I pretty much never wear it like this. This actually though looks nice. And I think that this look would be good because the hat is not as warm this way. Like it's warm. But like when you imagine, it's like basically this big tube inside out to make a hat. And then so it's double layer. And then you go like this and you fold it over. So now there's like 4 layers of knit fabric. So it's like warm. Believe it or not though, believe it or not, the cashmere beret is actually warmer than this, which is why this is actually like, I probably wear this more than the berets because it's not as hot as those cashmere berets. They are very warm. Cashmere, so warm. So this is, I love this. I wore this a ton. My trip to Illinois too. I wear it like this mostly. And this, I have only knit one Musselburgh, but I really hope I change that in 2023 because the other thing I love about it is, look at this. I used up all of my yarn. You're like, what? That doesn't match. Yeah. So basically I ran out of yarn. I knit till I ran out of yarn, and then I added in some yarn from my stash. And I just put that little scrap nugget on the inside, and you never see it. And that's totally okay. And it just felt so good to like take a skein of yarn and knit the whole way through and not have anything left. That felt so good. And yeah, I mean, there's so many people knit lots of these, you know. I feel like can't mention this kind of hat without thinking of the We Share Needles podcast. They just crank them out. For me, this was like a lot of knitting, and that's why I only have one. Okay, so speaking of the Arkansas Sock Yarn Society box, huge fan of that box. So the November box came, and I don't even remember what the colorway was called, but it usually has a name that's like very apropos for the season. So I'm not an orange person, but picture this. I open up the Sock Society box. It comes with this cool yarn that has like flecks, like speckles, beautiful speckles in it. And then it came with a crochet pattern and a knit pattern. Then it came like, it has like extras in the box, and it came with like this little leather tag. And it came with a pom-pom. And you basically held the yarn double. So I pulled from the outside and the inside. And it's so cute. And so I'm not really an orange person, but I just felt very drawn to this color. And I like it. I've worn it a bunch. And so this one is cooler. Like, it's a warm hat, keeps my head warm. But it's not as warm as the berets, and it's not as warm as the Musselburgh. So I've been getting a lot of good use out of it. I did not pack it to Illinois when I went because I figured it would be, when I went to Illinois, it was like very cold. So I left this hat back, but I love it. And I think that was like the fun thing about the Sock Yarn Society box is I would never buy this color. Like if I was going shopping, I just would never buy this color for myself. And here it came in the mail and I felt compelled to knit it and turned out super cute. And it's just so cool, the boxes, how they're done, because they're not all like a kit. Like that box was just like a kit to make a hat. They're not all like that, but they're really fun like that. Like a few of the boxes have included patterns, and I've loved it. Okay. And the last sort of accessory I knit was a Sophie scarf. Like the rest of the internet, so many people have knit a Sophie scarf. And I wish I knit more than one. Like they're not a huge project and I wear this a ton. This is not how I style it whatsoever. I wear it more with like a button up, but I do wear it like this. Like this is the look with like a button up. So here's why I wish I had more. One is it's so cute and I love it. And this is the only one I have. This one, bright blue one. So that's one reason why I want another one. The second is, I don't remember the yarn I knit this out of, like what it's called. But I bought this at a yarn store in Germany, in Hamburg, Germany, called My LYS. And it was like one of my kind of tourist skeins of yarn. And it was 100% alpaca, which is also very warm and maybe too warm. I already feel it like heating me up, just this little thing on my neck. If you keep your neck warm, it really helps the rest of your body. And so like for being cold in my office, like as a professor, I'm teaching and I'm very warm, but sometimes in my office, like most of the time I'm like working in my office and I just need a little something to keep me warm. And this is great. But it's like so warm because it's alpaca. And the other thing about the alpaca is it's like a little scratchy, which does not bother me at all. I can do the scratchy wool on my skin. That is fine. I mean, it's alpaca, not wool, but I can do scratchy fibers. But here's the challenge. It like knots my hair. I have very long hair and like this, you wouldn't think this like friction between my hair and this. So when I wear this, I have to wear my hair up. Otherwise, it's like the friction between this fabric and my hair, it creates like a knot in my hair. And so I would like to knit one of these in a superwash wool for those reasons. But like the thousands of other people on the internet have knit a Sophie scarf and I would like to knit more. I think when I first knit it, I was like, this would be a great gift. And indeed it would, though I didn't knit any for gifts. But so 8 sweaters, 6 pairs of socks, and 6 hats, and 1 Sophie scarf. So that's kind of my wrap up for 2022. For me, it's really not about like quantity of things. Like I don't really care if I knit 1 sweater or 10 sweaters or 1 pair of socks or 50 pairs of socks. Like that's not super important to me. What is really important to me is that I am finding joy in my knitting and that it did. So if knitting is bringing joy in my life, like it's winning. Also, for knitting, like in addition to joy, like I'm a lifelong learner. It's like one of the reasons why I love being a professor. And so I love that I'm always learning things through my knitting. And so I feel like I learned so much from test knitting sweaters this year. And I also learned so much from my very first 2 like sock designs. And I'm just so grateful to the communities around there that like help me learn more. And so joy in learning, and yeah, and so that's what I just hope to continue on in 2023. I don't really have I don't have a Make 9 board. I don't have any like specific goals other than I just want to continue having joy and learning. I would love to hear what one of your favorite makes from last year was. I don't know what it's hard for me to pick what my favorite makes are. I think for me, it would probably be, I don't know. I was going to say like my sweaters, like the Lennox is just a clear win for me because I wear it a lot. And the Soufflé, probably the Lennox and the Soufflé were like my favorite of 2022. So I'd love to know what your favorites were. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed any of the content today, consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching. Bye.